Hey everyone, welcome to the vlog. Today I'm going to walk you through how to make French press coffee using this inexpensive Mr. Coffee French press. And today we've got Panther coffee, which is roasted in Miami. I discovered them when I was volunteering at Wadapalooza. They actually had this in my hotel room, which was really neat and a great way to experience some sort of local coffee without really even seeking it out. It was right there, so I tried it. It was awesome. I'm excited because this year we're going to go down to Miami again, and I'm going to be able to check out their roastery, which is going to be really neat. Can't wait to see it. This is not sponsored by them. It's just my way of shouting out, some good coffee, and I'm going to be making French press coffee with their Brazil roast today. Brazil roast is pretty good. It's got a chocolate cake, Neapolitan ice cream, sweet, creamy, clean finish. A lot of their roasts are typically medium. They do have some espresso dark roasts, but the medium roasts I find are really good that they have. You can find it on Amazon to the links in the description, and you can also find this Mr. Coffee in the link in the description. So let's get to it. Alright, so first thing you want to do is make sure that your French press is clean. I try not to use like soaps or anything in it. I just try to wipe it out and clean it out as best as I can, because I'm always afraid that if I put some soap in there, that's going to kind of mix with the coffee flavor if I don't quite get it all out. And glass, I don't know how well that absorbs things, but it's just, if you're going to make coffee in something and that's all you're going to make in it, there's no point in adding soap to it unless you leave it for days and it gets crusty or something, but otherwise, just rinse it out every day, get all the grounds, get all the water out of it, dry it out, and it should be good to go. So here's how I like to wash my press. All right, so first thing, what's really neat about this is it comes apart. You can see that it breaks down right here. You can unscrew this thing. I cheated, I already cleaned it this morning, but just wanted to kind of show you how it breaks down and how you can clean it. So that pops right off just like that. You can clean the lid, kind of get everything out from under there. As you can see here, really easy, This separates into 3 pieces. Got this little strainer piece, this piece with the spring that puts the net up against the side walls and keeps it nice and tight so you don't get ground into your coffee when you pour it out. So we have these 3 pieces here. You can just kind of rinse them off, right? Just go through here, rinse it off. And you shouldn't really need a sponge or soap, like I said, unless it gets super crusty. If it does, try not to use any dish detergent. That's just my preference, of course. If you're really good at cleaning out soap and making sure it's out of there, then great. Otherwise, first few drinks of coffee in the French press will probably have a little bit of soap taste, which it won't hurt you. From here, we've got the cup itself. This separates from the handle, which is nice. You can clean that, and then you can just rinse out that jar, clean it up, get it all nice and neat. Once it's nice and clean, you reassemble this. You gotta put this back on here with the strainer. And there you can see kind of the 3 pieces and how it works. Hook that all back up, thread it back on to your plunger, I guess you would call it, or presser. Screw that on, put that back down in there. Good to go. So now that we got the French press nice and clean, we're gonna go ahead and fill up our water heater. I like to use a water heater just because it's easier. I used to heat water on the stove, believe it or not, but I bought this water heater, and link will be in the description. It's just so much more convenient. So let's get to it. All right, so here's the water heater. Pretty simple, opens up, no big deal. You get your base, it plugs into the wall. Let's fill it up. I usually fill it up to the 1 liter. That's typically how much I make when I use that coffee press. Half liter is fine, but today we're gonna do a full liter because it's gonna be a long day and I wanna have all the caffeine and energy I can. All right, nice and full there, you can see. Right at the 1 liter mark, we're gonna set that down, flip it on. Ooh, look at the blue lights. It's pretty cool, huh? Check this out, very inexpensive. It's been working great so far. I used to have a travel one that we used and it only did ½ liter, and it just got cumbersome, you know, for making, you know, bigger batches of coffee. So I still have the travel one, which is great. I remember, it's probably in my travel luggage. I usually just leave it in there. Got a little portable grinder that I like to take this hand crank, and then I also have a to-go cup, which is really cool because it's got a French press built inside. This is pretty neat. This is the portable French press. See, very similar to what I just showed you, is you can take it with you. This is my on-the-go. I use a travel water heater, coffee grinder if I need it, and then of course the French press, and then you can just drink right out of that. So that's by Bodum, which I think they make a lot of French presses. I have a small French press as well at the office that is by this company. So good cylinder to use. It keeps everything hot for a long time. A little small, but otherwise, you know, it's great for a quick, you know, 2 cups of coffee. So right now what we're doing is we're waiting for this water to heat up. There's a trick that I like to use, is I actually use my ears to figure out if the water is warm enough. It's really important that you don't overheat the water. I think a lot of people make the mistake in the early days of, they think that they need to boil water for coffee. I never boil water, especially for a medium or darker roast. You don't want to burn the coffee, which is possible. If you've ever had coffee that's extremely hot, it has that kind of burnt taste to it, it's either been sitting on the thing for a while on the warming plate, or it was just too hot to begin with. So I like to keep it kind of cooler temperature. You can look up good temperatures to use and use a thermometer, but I found that this method works really well. You can kind of hear it right now. So that's the sound we want. We want to see some bubbles moving around, some things kind of moving around. What we don't want is go into a full rolling boil. So it's something you would boil eggs in, that's not what we want here. So what I usually do is wait until it starts getting all these little bubbles, it kind of starts getting cloudy, flowing around in here, and you can kind of hear the steam coming up, and it's moving pretty good, that kind of sound. And it's all by feel. Like I said, I don't have a temperature that I shoot for specifically, but I kind of know what I like, and this has worked every time. So right about there, I go ahead and kill it. Alright guys, so now I've got this cool scooping spoon. It's got a clip on it, which is nice if you don't have clips on your bag and you're using coffee. There's a little clip there that clips right on, holds it together, but it also doubles as a scooper. So we're gonna use 5 to 6 scoops. Use about a tablespoon, so if you just wanna say tablespoon, 5 to 6 tablespoons. I find that works really well for about a liter of water in this size of French press. So 5 to 6. If you want a little bit stronger, right, go on the 6 side with maybe some heaping scoops, or you could do flat scoops, 5 if you want a little bit on the lighter side. So here we go. All right, so now that we've got the water, the coffee, and everything in there, we put the lid on. We don't press it down yet. We just set it right on top of the water. I like to put the water right about the silver band here, just because the spout's there. And if you go past the spout into this risen area here, you might get some grounds on top of the plunger, which is gonna end up in your cup. So it's best to never overfill your French press. Just keep it down here well below the spout. Set this gently on top. Also, if you push down a little bit on the press, never try to pull it back up once you have coffee in here, because you're going to possibly get grounds in your cup later when you go to pour it out. So if you push it down a little bit, that's fine, just leave it. And then we're gonna sit here for about 3 to 5 minutes. I tend to I make some eggs in the morning, I'm moving around doing whatever, and then I come back to it and then I press it and pour it. But if you wanted to time it and you're really anxious for your coffee, like most of us, got that coffee itch, 5 minutes is typically good, 3 to 5 minutes, right? If you want it a little bit on the lighter side, Let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes. If you want it more on the darker side, or stronger side, I guess, you would let it sit for 5 minutes or maybe more. Anything beyond 5 minutes I think is a little excessive, and it might give it just way too much flavor. Be a little bit overpowering in some ways, but I'm not an expert. This is just how I like to do it, and it tastes pretty good to me, so I'll keep moving on. Alright everyone, so we got our cream in here, so I like to use heavy cream, or half and half, but typically heavy cream has a really good flavor. I like a lot of cream, so I usually use 2 to 3 tablespoons. That might be excessive for some people, but it's what I like, so that's typically what I like to do, or just kind of cover the bottom of the mug with a layer of cream, so nothing too excessive. I always like to put the cream in first, because I'm not a fan of having to stir it and waste the dish and clean another dish. So I put the cream in first, and now we're ready to press it. So we just press down just like that, right? Nice and easy. Should go down pretty easily. If you got a lot of pressure, that's fine too. But you might not have stirred it well enough after you put the coffee and the water in. So you always stir it, put the lid on. It's been 5 minutes. Go ahead and press it down. So satisfying, right? From here, we're just gonna go ahead and pour it. All right, so we poured our coffee. Oh, spilled a little bit, wipe that up. Now we're gonna enjoy it. Tastes good. Hope you enjoyed this episode. This is gonna go under kind of my nutrition stuff. Great way to have a nice cup of coffee in the morning and get a lot of flavor out of it. And the heavy cream is nice because it gets some of those fat grams you might need without throwing in too many sugars. So thank you, and thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe below if you enjoyed this video. Give it a like. Trying to grow this channel and see what happens. Thank you.